Hey, what's happening, folks? Ryan here with the DFS 5-pack. Hopefully, everybody had a wonderful Sunday, fantasy football-wise, for your favorite sports team, football team, DFS-wise, sports betting, whatever you guys did. I hope it was absolutely just fantabulous in every sense of every direction. So, if your name was Tom Brady, it probably didn't go very well. That was not the good football game we were hoping for last night. Talk about an absolute snooze fest. In every sense of the word. Very, very disappointing as far as an entertainment standpoint. But, that's the craziness that is football, right? So we start trying to think, like, who's the best team in the NFC? Well, 2 weeks ago, I'm a Packer fan. I'm like, we don't even deserve to belong in that conversation anymore after losing to Minnesota. And now you're like, well, how good is Tampa? Because they got killed. You're like, well, how good are the Saints? They're actually pretty good. And the Seahawks losing Buffalo, Josh Allen, who hadn't been able to hit, water falling out of a boat. Looks like the second coming of Joe Montana. So interesting day in the NFL, but that's not what we're here discussing anymore. We're just going to do a quick review on the cash lineup this week. Hopefully everybody found themselves profitable. And then Bellman and I will hit you with some showdown information here in just a little bit for tonight's. I wouldn't call this one the game of the year either. Patriots against the Jets. So as you can kind of guess from who's making the cover today, Dalvin Cook was phenomenal again yesterday. If the Vikings find a way to make it into the playoffs, like if they continue to surge because they're playing well right now, and Cook continues to eat like this, maybe he'll start putting his case as the MVP of the league. Because right now, with Russell Wilson's poor performance yesterday and Tom Brady looked like trash, I have to say that's a pretty wide open contest, as I'm sure a lot of you guys would probably agree. But we'll keep moving on the list, guys. That after a not great about year of cash games, we're back onto the winning side of things a lot over here this year. I know most of our customers are 6-3 or 7-2 on the year. I have a personal record of 6-3. We'll make this the third straight winner in a row. So things are going wonderfully over here. If you're interested in getting the rest of the NFL information for the rest of the year, we're definitely doing more than we have at any point of any season, just because we don't have other sports around right now. Monday special, we did this the other day and we'll do it again. So the NFL package is up for sale on the website. It's $69. That covers everything for the rest of the year. Buy it today and I will send you a $15 reimbursement by day's end. If you would prefer just to pay the $54 manually via the Venmo or PayPal address at the links below, hey, I'm cool with that, guys. We cover prime time, main slate. We got a lot of videos that come out just for customers, things that you guys never see through the public. If you want to go get back into the winning ways and you're looking for something different to check it out, we are here to help. And of course, guys, bringing up show sponsor, Overlay Fantasy Sports. Oh, so close to a great day on Overlay yesterday. And I apologize. I had 4 featured picks that I went hard on yesterday during the day. And of course, 3 win, 1 lose. And of course, my dumbass brings up the wrong one for you guys with Chase Edmonds against Josh Jacobs. Josh Jacobs scores a brilliant touchdown on his part. Excellent way to get in there to do just enough to beat out Edmonds. I was hoping for the late hustle. Of course, Arizona misses the field goal. It was close, but unfortunately didn't come up a winner. That being said, guys, I will say I'm having a phenomenal and exciting time playing Overlay lately. I love the matchup shop. I look forward to it every single day. I'm a little disappointed the picks aren't out yet, but I'll try to hit you guys with some information later. For me, and you guys know I'm more of a cash game player, when it comes to NFL too, for sure, than I am for GPP. So I like the one-on-one matchups on Overlay. Like yesterday, for example, I had Kyler Murray versus Tua. I had a spot him 8 points, but that one was exciting to watch, back and forth all day long. Chase Edmonds against Josh Jacobs. Edmonds had the touches. He was running hard, but man, Miami closed in on him. They really sold out to stop Edmonds a little bit more than you would have expected. He just didn't get the PPR points or hit pay dirt. But it was exciting, and it was close, and I had a blast watching. In the early games, Dalvin Cook had a spot Thielen 7 points or whatever it was. That was a joke. That was an easy win. Sounded like free cash money. Anyways, the name of the website is overlaydfs.com. If you sign up today and make your first deposit, show me a screenshot of it so I can get you a free membership to the 5-pack. Subscribe to the station if you're new to it. And then let's just kind of review what happened yesterday. So, like a lot of you, if you look down to my flex position, I had to deal with Jackson of the Chargers as one of my running backs. It did not go well, clearly, because I guess I haven't even found the exact report of what happened. I stopped looking at it, looking for it during the game yesterday. And my best guess is he just got hurt during the warm-ups or pregame or whatever it is. Because when they came in and Balaj is getting carries all of a sudden, I'm like, wait a minute, what's going on? And I started searching Twitter, and it took a little while to find it, but apparently he got hurt. It wasn't noted. I mean, he's 55% owned for a reason, right? One, because it was a solid pick. He was playing well, good spot. We saw Balaj play well, so we could only assume Jackson in that spot would have played well. Shit happens. It happens to all of us sometimes. I got lucky, right? Like, as you see right here, I finished in 1903 in the top 2,000, double their money. It's cash game, so all you have to do is get into the money, and just got real lucky. I never expected this to happen because I figured Dalvin Cook was closer to 75, 80% because it seemed to be, to me, about as obvious a pick as there was on the day. And I just didn't think I was going to get as much of a bump from him. But the fact that he was only 58% owned was a big help. So that one helped right there. So, again, I've had plenty of weeks where I've been just outside the money and felt really unlucky. So it felt really, really good to feel lucky this week, to get in the money by all of a point. Some of my other double ups were even closer than this one. They all stayed in the money. So I feel extremely fortunate because, quite frankly, I didn't do a lot right yesterday. So one of the things you've probably heard on this show over the years is it's easy for us as gamblers and bettors. It's even worse when you play poker, as you guys have probably heard me bring up a million different times, to remember the bad beats. Remember the good ones. Remember the ones where you feel very fortunate to finish in the money. I've had a couple of those recently after a few weeks of doing nothing but losing by a point and two all over the place. I've had a few lucky finishes lately, and appreciate those when you get them. It'll help you deal with the losses when they come your way, because we're all going to deal with some losses. So let's just go through, run down what we did right, what we did wrong. At the quarterback position yesterday, I liked Drew Lock and Deshaun Watson as my possible plays at quarterbacks. Josh Allen, I believe, was actually the highest owned quarterback, and he went off. I get the play, right? Seattle is a team that I use the quarterback against them almost every single week. So obviously I understand why everybody went there. I was turned off by the eye test to Josh Allen over the last month, and good for him. He was phenomenal. Again, I didn't play him, but I absolutely get why the masses did, because I'm on here almost every week telling you guys to play quarterbacks against Seattle. So of course it makes sense to me. And in hindsight, it was a great move. I love the play of Josh Allen. Fortunately for us, Drew Lock with the late hustle, the rushing touchdown was phenomenal at a significantly lower price. So he was the play of the week at quarterback. I don't feel great about it, right? I look at your quarterback with the late hustle like that, like a runner flush draw in when you're playing poker. You knew it was there. It was something that you equated into your moves, but you don't necessarily feel great about winning that way, because for the most part, Lock wasn't great throughout a lot of the game. Now, we know Atlanta has a tendency to struggle in the fourth quarter, and they damn near let Denver back into this game after Lock was just off on a bunch of passes early. So I'm happy about it. I will take the W when I get it, but I don't really feel great about this. I nailed it. Drew Lock was going to play well. And I was back and forth between him and Watson. But quite frankly, I started to really get a hankering for Chase Edmonds as the week progressed, and I started to like him more and more and more. And I wanted to get him in my lineup, and it just wasn't happening if I played Deshaun Watson. And Lockout scored him at a lot less money. So, again, I don't feel great about it, but it was the right move. As far as Chase Edmonds goes, when you look at some of your picks, you got to decide, were you wrong or were you unlucky? With Chase Edmonds, I don't really feel wrong about it. I've been wrong a million times, and I'll be wrong a million more times. I don't really feel wrong that Chase Edmonds wasn't good. He got a lot of touches. None of the touchdowns happened to come to him. I think he's a good player. I want to give Miami credit for playing this game real hard. And even when you got to prepare for Kyler Murray, like the second coming of whatever, they were right there in Chase Edmonds all game long. He ran hard for a lot of his yardage, but his efficiency was terrible. He actually got less work in the passing game as the number one back than he would have as a guy who works out of the slot a little bit. That Arizona running backs lose a lot of opportunities with inside the 5, which is one of the things I didn't like about him in the beginning of the week. But I kept thinking about the game he played against the Giants last year or 2 years ago, whatever it was, where he absolutely went off. And I kept getting the feeling that was going to happen. Miami's offense also played a lot better than I expected them to. So that was wrong there as well. So Edmonds had a lot of touches, and I still feel fine about the pick because he's a good player with a lot of touches. But I got to give Miami credit. Miami's a pretty good football team, actually, and they played well yesterday, and they were on him like white on rice all day long. After that, Dalvin Cook. I hate the Minnesota Vikings, right? I'm a Green Bay Packers fan. I spent 10 years of my life living in Vikings country, went to school at the University of Minnesota, lived a mile within the Metrodome where they used to play back then. I moved up to Minneapolis, was Randy Moss's rookie year. And when he danced on my Packers in Lambeau Field and put on one of the most memorable Monday night performances of all time, trust me, I was not a fan. So I hate the Minnesota Vikings. But man, do I respect the hell out of Dalvin Cook. This guy is a flat-out baller. For my money, he's the best running back in football. We talked about this last week. I'm sold. This guy's all that in a bag of chips. He's got big play capability. He's viable in the passing game. He's phenomenal. Another monster game again yesterday. The only shocker here to me was I thought he'd be closer to 80% owned. I knew he'd be popular, but I thought he'd be more popular. I'm assuming, without having spent a lot of time looking at it, that more people went McCaffrey because it was difficult to afford the two of them. But like in hindsight, playing the two together was the move. I could easily have gotten up there and just dropped down from Julio or Lockett, who was one of my favorite plays, who was terrible. So Dalvin Cook, beast of the week, got us in the money. Thank you, Dalvin. I owe you. You were phenomenal. All right, moving down to Julio at 60%. So once Calvin Ridley was ruled out and you knew Denver was missing corners, you knew Julio at a very fair price tag was going to be chalk. He was fine yesterday from how he played overall. Honestly, the worst thing that happened in this game for Julio was Denver just kept missing early in the game, right? Like there was a couple plays that could have been touchdowns or first down conversions that would allow Denver to score some points, but Atlanta just really didn't need to throw late. Pretty sure we're fortunate Julio caught that touchdown because they were just not very pass heavy later. I believe it was Zacchaeus who caught a couple of big balls that could have gone Julio's way but didn't. It was just a byproduct of Denver playing bad early, and Atlanta just really didn't need to throw. He was okay-ish, okay adjacent due to the lower scoring day, but again, at 61%, blah. I'd still pick him, though. Like, if you go back in time, I still think the pick makes sense. He just didn't need to do a lot, I guess is the best way to look at it. After that, Tyler Lockett, he was bad. I was big on Lockett. I liked him everywhere. I mentioned this a dozen times yesterday. I didn't want to go back to the Seattle Seahawks wide receivers, but I was definitely feeling myself too much after calling a big Lockett game and then a big DK game and getting those two right. Definitely got overconfident when I shouldn't have been. DK Metcalf is such a freaking stud that he can literally ball on anybody, even some of the game's top corners. Lockett really never seemed to be open, so big ups to the Buffalo Bills. Was wrong. He was terrible. 8 points is not nearly enough on that salary. So just wrong. It's okay to say when you're wrong on something. That's the way I look at it, at least. And I was definitely wrong about this one. So Darnell Mooney, he was just the last pick. He wasn't awful. Could have done a little bit more. Chicago's offense was terrible, especially for the first half of that game, which is, again, not a glaring surprise or anything like that. He was nothing more than the last guy that I put in. Although I will say this. I had Connor, Danny Amendola in here, which by my just going off the top of my head was good for about 17 points. And I pivoted to Chase Edmonds and Mooney at the last minute. And that had actually got me in the money. So for all those millions of times you make those last minute pivots that hurt you and you lose because of it, because I've done it 1,000 times in my life, it feels good that this one actually got you in the money. So Mooney was not great, but he was nothing but the last pick, and I liked the rest of my lineup. Even though the lineup was trash, doesn't mean I didn't like it yesterday morning when I put it in. All right, next up, Hayden Hurst. Said it all week long. I liked Noah Fant. He got hurt right away in the game, which really kind of slowed his production in my mind. There's a couple other tight ends I liked. I liked Hawkinson, but I felt very comfortable with Hayden Hurst, and especially once I wanted to get up to Edmonds, I knew I needed the salary relief. Hayden Hurst at 4,000 or 4,100. 13 points. He was solid. Nothing spectacular, but rock solid. He was fine. After that, Jackson. I wasn't really looking that closely at Jackson, and then I had a couple people mention him to me Saturday, and I really started to rethink my thoughts on him and just how poorly Kelly had been playing. You guys, I think it was a good pick. A lot of you made it. Again, he's over 50% owned for a reason. Weird stuff like this happens. My favorite part of the DFS day yesterday was just quite frankly, like, I just assumed I was losing. Once I saw Jackson wasn't coming back out there, and even though there was a report that came out at halftime that he'd be in the mix, like when you sit out the full first half, you never really feel good about being in the mix. I swear he came in for a play because the announcer said his name, but I didn't see the jersey number for sure. Either way, he was a big make it or break it guy yesterday. So when you get a 0 out of a guy that's, I don't know what he was in GPPs. I forgot to look, but I'm going to guess maybe a third owned or something like that. And he puts up a 0. That's a big mover and shaker for the day. I feel extremely fortunate to luck myself into the money by like less than a point. But again, there's been a lot of days in my life where I've been out of the money by a point. So you just got to appreciate when you get a little fortunate and just live with it, because you all have been unfortunate at certain times playing fantasy sports. Every single one of you listening to this has absolutely taken the bad end of it before. So when you get lucky, you just got to feel good about it, because it'll help you deal when you're unlucky again next week or tonight on the showdown or whatever it happens. So it happens. Move on from there. Cardinals defense. This was all about how unconfident I was on Tua with no running backs, on the road, facing a team coming off a bye and everything like that. And I want to give Tua credit. Tua played a good football game yesterday. You didn't see like necessarily greatness, but I thought he played an excellent football game. I watched most of this game, and compared to what you saw last week, even in a win against the Rams, he looked a lot more NFL ready. And if I'm Miami, I feel a lot better about him than I did just a couple hours ago or a couple days ago. Cardinals defense, they got close to him a bunch. They had 3 sacks. They had the interception that was overturned. A couple other things that really did not work in their direction, but this was good Tua. This pick was mostly made because we were expecting bad Tua, and he wasn't bad, so it was a wrong pick. The Falcons' chalky defense scored, I think, the same points, or maybe actually one more, so didn't do any better there. Giants' defense seemed to be the play, which makes a lot of sense. It was one of those defenses I saw balling in the day, and I'm like, you know what? You would have liked them more if you had thought about it, but you didn't, and that's on you. So it wasn't a great pick, but overall, I mean, Drew Lock and Dalvin Cook, who we brought them up on the show, so hopefully you guys were able to take advantage of those. Were solid. They were good plays, and they did enough to get you in the money. Obviously, it was a low-scoring week. Part of that was Jackson, and just part of that was other good plays, i.e. Julio and Lockett, just not being very good on the day. So, again, appreciate getting lucky when it happens for you. I don't feel 100% lucky because I had Jackson who had no points, but like to just get into the money like this, and I kid you not, one of my other $25 double ups is like 9 places away from the money, like less than 0.1 point. So that's lucky. You just call it like it is. So that's what I got for this week, guys. Obviously, with only one sport going on right now, we have more chance to do little lineup reviews like this and just kind of talk through it a little bit. Hopefully, y'all were able to do even better than this. I know a couple of customers had really, really nice days. So congratulations to you guys. No matter who's watching it, hopefully it went well for you guys. And if it didn't, you got a showdown tonight. Let's get out there and get it today. And best of luck to everybody.